I strongly believe in the flood the zone theory, which is just overwhelm the opposition.
What we said was there's a reason there's foundational three parties. If we start to skew those lines and the vice president is now shopping around that the courts can't stop the president.
He is working in a 21st century media environment that is outpacing the traditional media, but also the opposition. I think.
Welcome, patriots, and get ready, because today we are going to expose the tactics of the liberal media trying to attack our President Trump. And today we will also reveal the entire strategy and genius of Trump, which has left the left in panic. So from that, you can already tell. Fasten your seatbelts, because the truths in this video will shock you.
It's President's Day, which honors the contributions of our past commanders-in-chief, but the current administration is really testing the boundaries of how much power the office actually holds. And there have been so many executive orders that federal judges, Congress, and the media can hardly keep up, which MAGA insider Steve Bannon recently claimed is the whole point.
At a certain point, there's only so much from the executive that he can do, right? When are we going to hit that point?
Untrue. I think you see, right now, I say it's both scale, depth, and urgency. That's why you're seeing, and look, I strongly believe in the flood the zone theory, which is just overwhelm the opposition. They've already started to file impeachment documentation on President Trump in the House. Now, some of the wilder members in the Democratic House, but you see their mentality. Lawsuits are coming from everywhere. The resistance is there to overcome it. And I think President Trump has done an amazing thing, is you pick all the different verticals you're going to and you just drop the hammer. It's executive orders, executive action, all of this.
What we have just seen is a clear example of how the liberal media tries to distort Trump's genius. And notice how they try to portray his executive actions as testing limits, when in fact they are strategic moves by our president to free our nation from the clutches of leftist bureaucrats. And now, stop everything you're doing and pay close attention, because in the next segment it will expose the left and reveal all the truths they don't want you to know.
Are we the other side he's talking about?
He goes on to say that the opposition party is the media. And he says they can only focus on one thing at a time. All we have to do is flood the zone. Every day we hit them with three things, they'll bite on one. But we've got to start with muzzle velocity, doing it all the time, all the time, all the time. And if you look at social sciences, they have studied this. And one sociologist in particular, Jennifer Walters, she makes this really interesting point that she says this is a deliberate tactic used by regimes, used by powerful entities to manipulate and control people by bombarding them with so much information that they feel overwhelmed. It's called the shock and awe tactic. And so you've got this rapid influx of information or change, and it creates this sense of disorientation and fear that I think a lot of us are feeling, and it makes it difficult to critically analyze and then, of course, react appropriately. So the suggestion that you take the time to process the information, you prioritize the key issues, and you build community support to share the burden of understanding what's really going on, and then you can respond collectively to the situation.
When you watch,
Observe how the left's narrative tries to demonize Trump's tactics, labeling them as scare tactics, when in fact this is the leadership the country truly needs. Trump acts with the urgency that the times demand, and that's why he is the greatest defender of the American people. You won't believe what's coming. Next, I can guarantee you, it will make your blood boil. We will expose the left and leave them on the verge of freaking out with so many truths.
watch the barrage of actions. And by the way, I've never been a fan of executive orders by either party, because the whole point of having Congress pass laws is those are the elected officials. This lambasting of everything is why some of us, including myself, said that he was a threat to democracy, Donald Trump. People said it's hyperbole, it's dangerous talk. No, it was literal talk. What we said was there's a reason there's foundational three parties. If we start to skew those lines and the vice president is now shopping around that the courts can't stop the president, this is the beginning of the problem.
Keep in mind that when Donald Trump was out of office for 4 years, he more or less had a presidency in waiting down in Florida. He had policy staffers, he had advisors that actually called him Mr. President. So he's coming in with a policy agenda that he had been working on, and he was ready to go on day one. And what makes it very different than the first Trump term is he didn't really know how things things worked. And now he's got a sense of this is how you can get around the courts potentially. This is how you bypass Congress. This is how you can do things quicker. There are major pros and cons to that, but one of the things he is excellent at, and the media takes the bait often, is he writes himself into every story. Like, just thinking about it, he didn't just do the Super Bowl interview, he attended the Super Bowl. When we have the astronauts stuck on the International Space Station, Elon Musk was already going to get them, but he took credit. I'm going to get the astronauts back. When TikTok was down to 167 million people, thank you, Donald Trump, that we're back up. He is working in a 21st century media environment that is outpacing the traditional media, but also the opposition. I think Dems are kind of playing on a 1990s playbook of like, if I go speak on the Senate floor or if I go on Meet the Press, it's going to stop him. And they've got to get quick and smart if they're wanting to push back and how people are communicating now, because
have to unify.
he knows how to overwhelm the system.
The staunch defender who weakens our nation now wants to pretend to care about democracy. The truth is only one. Trump is using constitutional tools to reverse years of damage caused by the failed progressive politics. This is not a threat to democracy. No, do not be mistaken. This is the truth of democracy, working for the people, and the time for truth has come. What you're about to hear will show that we are on the right side.
Democrats need to do, the opposition, the resistance, whatever you want to call the folks that are against everything that Donald Trump is doing. We need to have a way of reaching people, whether it's social media, whether it's a website, whether it's what, so that people can understand what is happening. And I absolutely think we need to form alliances, and we can't just be groups, individual groups, right? Because Latinos are super upset by the fact that he's racially profiling as a portraying immigrants like everybody's a criminal. Arabs now and the people who sympathize with Palestine are super upset because he's trying to treat it as a real estate deal. Women, African Americans upset over the DEI stuff he's trying to dismantle willy-nilly. LGBTQ people, well, we all need to come together and show them that we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore.
But people also have to get out of their echo chambers, because like everyone was like, Project 2025. If you hated Project 2025, that worked for you. If you weren't super clear or you liked some parts of it but not others, Democrats have to be willing to go to uncomfortable spaces.
I think this is beyond Democrats and Republicans.
Well, yeah, you're right. Actually, and I don't like the labels of all of it, because I think most people are multifaceted and don't just fit into one bucket. But you have to have conversations with people who disagree with you if you want to build coalitions to push back, because you are going to find there are a lot of things Donald Trump does that I agree with, but then there are things I think are dangerous, reckless, and want to call out. So you have to be able to talk to people who, it doesn't have to be all this or all that, but find movement on the things that matter.
It's hard.
What we see here is the desperation of the old guard. They cannot keep up with a leader who truly understands the 21st century. Trump is redefining the presidency for an era of quick action and communication with the people. Meanwhile, the bureaucrats only know how to whine on outdated TV programs. Trump is building a movement that will revolutionize and transform America.
Hard to talk to people who support people who think you don't matter in the country.
But it's not supporting the person, though.
But when you support that person,
right, but
it brings. Go ahead.
But I don't support that person. My point being that I don't disagree with everything Trump is doing, so we have to be able to have conversations, but we do agree on these things, so how can we all get together on those issues?
Well, when we find the stuff that we agree on, that's what we do. Yeah. But when we find the stuff that is disagreeable to the majority, now, I didn't find anything of interest for me in Project 2025. I didn't feel like this was geared to us as a nation. I felt it was geared to very specific folks, and that bothered the poo out of me. But I understand what you're saying, and yeah, we do have to talk to each other. That's the beauty. That's the thing. When people tell you who they are, you got to believe them.
And while the liberal media and the Democrats desperately try to halt progress, Trump continues to fulfill his promises and put America first. And don't be fooled by the tactics of distraction from the left. Subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell to stay updated on everything happening right now in American politics. And if you, like me, believe that Trump can make America great again with our faithful conservative values, leave your comment here. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much to everyone. See you in the next video.